Hello guys, so we'll be learning mutating webhook in this video. So I'll be deploying I'll be creating a mutating webhook in this video to copy the labels from namespace to pods or to the deployments. Like it will automatically copy labels from a namespace into the deployment pod specification. Whenever a pod is created, the webhook intercepts the request, reads the labels defined on the namespace, and injects them into the pod template. As a result, every pod automatically inherits the correct team and environment variable, with developer not needing to add them manually in their manifest. So they don't need to manage web labels or anything. Like this is the approach many companies handle to schedule workload on scale. Like if there are more than 1 lakh namespaces or more than 1 lakh or 50,000 deployments running in different namespaces with different microservices running as a whole. So we used to work when I used to work in Flipkart. Flipkart uses this type of deployment. So I'll teach you how things are done. I'll probably build the webhook from scratch and try to show you like how the things happen in real time. Every like in every team don't need to manage labels manually by defining that in the deployment file, right? So it should automatically come from the namespace label. Like in our company, like when I was in Flipkart, there was a team separately for creating namespaces, and they used to handle this adding of label on the namespace, and then when webhook restarts, these labels will be added automatically onto the deployment or pod. So that's how things used to be when I used to work for Flipkart. So like what will happen if this happens? Like there'll be no discrepancy, right? Like developer team doesn't need to worry about scheduling of the pods or anything. It will automatically schedule the pod as per the label defined on the namespace. And I'll show you in the demo also. I'll show you the demo, like how do we deploy a particular namespace labels, and how do we deploy on a particular node where label is added. I'll show you each and everything in this video. So probably stay here and probably try to do this activity along with me. Let's dive into to building this webhook and mutating webhook. So if I have the code with me, like this is the code, and if I see app.py, so this is the code actual which I have written in Flask framework, Python Flask framework. I'll not tell you what I have written, but I have written it so that you know whenever we add a label to the namespace, it will automatically go and copy it into the deployment. You don't need to define it manually. Like let's suppose if there are many thousands of teams in the company, and each team has a different labels to specify. So in that case, you don't need to do it by yourself. Like if added in the namespace, it will automatically go and add in the deployment file, or in the pod manifest file. So actually, this Kubernetes labels are powerful. They drive scheduling, monitoring, cost allocation, security policies, and operational automation. So we'll try to do this. We'll try to build this webhook, mutating webhook, and try to deploy and see if everything is working fine or not. Like I have these files, right? I have app.py. I need to build this from Docker file, and I have this webhook configuration file also. Like let me show you. This is actual configuration file of mutating webhook. In this we have everything, right? So we have everything from API version, mutating configuration, and metadata is name of the mutating webhook, and then there's something defined as certificate, right? CA cert. Why do we need a CA cert? Like will it not work on HTTP? Why does it need HTTPS? Like mutating webhooks, actually they sit in the middle of every pod creation. Like uh, Kubernetes will send pod spec to the random. Kubernetes will not send pod spec to the random HTTP or endpoint or anything, right? It will try to send it to HTTPS only. So it does three things. Like first is identity. What am I talking to? Who am I talking to? And second thing is integrity. Was the response alerted? Or third thing is confidentiality. Did anyone snoop on the pod spec? So TLS certificates answer these three things, with what actually happens on the wire. First thing is API server creates a pod, then API server sees the mutating webhook configuration, and then it makes a HTTPS call to webhook. This webhook, it will make a HTTPS call to webhook, APS servers verifies certificate is valid, like the certificate is valid, right? And after that certificate matches its service genius name, then CA is trusted, and CA will be trusted, and then Kubernetes accept the mutation. If nothing, if no certificate is proper, then it will try to no certificate, no call, webhook ignored and or rejected. That what happened. One line through that can say webhook admission webhook requires certificates because they operate on security boundaries of the cluster. Mm, so Kubernetes says Kubernetes says is I'll send this only to a trusted HTTPS server. Certificates proves that. So what certificates does? Confirm the real. It confirms that webhook is real. Actually, what certificates does is it confirms that this webhook is real. And HTTP is not allowed. That's why we are adding certificate. We will be creating certificate in this case and then try to attach the certificate into webhook configuration so that everything goes smoothly as per HTTPS, as per the requirement. Yeah. So let's try to build the mutating webhook now. To build the mutating webhook, so these are the files and this is the deployment for mutating webhook, right? Let me show you. Image ID I've already given because I was testing it before, right? So I've already given. So this security as service account I need to create it, so I'll create it in this video only. I'll create it, so you don't need to worry about it. I'll be creating all the resources in webhook system namespace, and then I'll create one replica, and that's how the service name or service will be exposed on 443 and node port is 8443, and app selector is webhook. So Kubernetes admission webhooks must use certificate because APS server only calls a trusted HTTPS endpoint. So that's why we need certificates. So let's go and build. Let's go and build this application. So we have everything. We need to build it. So before we build it, we need to generate a SAN CNF. We need to build it. Let me build it. Let me create SAN in SNF. Once this is created, we'll have that file, right? Using this SAN CNF, we need to create a certificate. Let's create it. This is the command for that. I've written a blog around it. I'll attach the blog in the description. You'll have the code along with that. You'll have all the code you have. So you probably go along with the code. I've explained in detail like what's happening in each and every step. So once this is done, so let's create certificate for creating secret out of certificate. We need to have Kubernetes cluster, right? So let me check Kubernetes cluster what status we have, how many nodes we have. We have only one node and it is running state, right? So it was running on version 29.15. So we need to create a certificate. To create certificate, this is the command. Already existed saying, so let me delete it. Deleted. So let's create it again. Once this is created, let's build the image using this command. Use docker build -t and my docker username I'll give. Try to build using my docker username and version 3 I'm giving. Image is getting built. Image is built. So let's check the image if it is found or they are not found or not. It is found, right? So that image is built. It is very limited image, like very small image. Once this is done, let's import into containerd rather than pushing it to Docker Hub. Let's move into containerd and try to get it from there and try to deploy it. Let's see. For importing into containerd, there's a command ctr-k8s.io images import docker save that image name of the image name. Once I do this, it will try to import into containerd and try to see if everything is working fine. Yeah, once this is done, let's change the version. I'll give 3. Once this is done, so we need RBAC. Actually, it will not work until unless we give RBAC for this namespace or for this webhook configuration for webhook deployment. We need to have our RBAC, right? We have to specify service account also. So we need to we have specified that as well. So we need to have RBAC. For that, we need to have a file. I have a file with me. I'll copy it in this server. I've deleted it, right? So RBAC.yml. What is RBAC is doing is, I'll tell you. First of all, it is creating a service account, and in service account it is giving permissions to read to namespaces and to get namespaces, services in namespaces. It will give services in namespace, get requests for all the resources in the namespace, and role binding it is binding it to the service account which I have created, right? It will try to attach this role to that service account. Yeah. So first is this create service account, and then later is creating cluster role, and wherein it is giving all permission at namespace level to this role, to this via this role, and this role it is attaching it to service account which is there. Service account, right? Service account yeah, role and service account, it is attaching it there. So let me apply this file, rollback. Once this is created, this is already created, I suppose. Yeah. So once this is done, let's apply our deployment file and let's see if it is running. Once this is created, let's go and check if our pod is running. Webhook pod is running, so let's check the logs if it is running fine or not. It is running fine, so I don't need to worry about it now. Now we need to deploy the configuration of mutating webhook, right? So for deploying configuration of mutating webhook, you need to first of all get this secret. First of all, you need to generate a certificate, and using that certificate, you need to apply. You have to encode the certificate using this command. Let me create a file and then copy it and then try to copy it. It will not happen because what this webhook is doing is like it is created in a webhook system, right? So and it mutates at 443 port, and then what it does is it will try to check if the namespace has this label, and if the label is there, then it is enabled. So we have to enable the namespace using this label first of all. For the labels to be copied from namespace to pod, first we have to do this. So match expression is this, right? NS label in sync. So this is the file. So let me copy it. Let me paste it. Let me apply it now. Once that is created, let's check the mutating webhook. Using this command, if it is successful or not. Successful, right? Now our mutating webhook is completely deployed successfully. Now we have to check if everything is working fine. So we need to add a label called as sync. We need to first of all test it in uh, default namespace first of all. Okay. So k label ns default. First of all, we need to add this label, right, which is there. So for the labels to copy from namespace to pod, this label should be there. So once I add this, okay, now let's check if that label is there. Ns default, that label is there, right? So now let's deploy something and try to see if our label is getting copied. Or let's do one thing. Let's create prod namespace. Create prod. Then try to add these labels. Label, right? Prod is labeled. So let's check prod is labeled or not. Is labeled, and it doesn't have any label other than this. So let's try to add the labels. First of all, we add this environment prod label to prod. We have added. Once we check if that label will be there. So environment prod label is there, and also we'll try to add team DevOps label on prod. So if we check, team DevOps also is added, right? Yeah, team DevOps is also added on the prod namespace. Now let's try to create a resource and try to see if our let's try to see testing. So we don't have any label on the deployment as of now. Let's create a deployment rather than that from that file. I'll show you how show you from that file also. But for now, we'll deploy from a command. We'll try to deploy. Let's try to deploy this by using this Nginx image. Once this is done, let's get pods. This is running, right? So let's see if that labels have come or not. Labels should be there on this pod. Let's see. Let's see that labels only. That labels are there, right? So environment prod is there, and team DevOps is also is there. So those labels came from the prod namespace to this. In this I have not added any label, right? No labels are added. Like only this command I ran, and after that I automatically it came from the namespace to this pod. So let's do one thing. Let's delete the mutating webhook and try to deploy something and try to see if that the pod is getting label or not when I restart the pod. Let's try to delete the and mutating webhook. Delete this pod also. Let's show. Oh, let's see, create. Let's show. Nothing will be there on this pod. Like only app nginx label is there, and then pod template namespace is there. That thing is there. So nothing is there. So let's try to deploy everything again and try to see try to restart this pod and try to see if everything is working fine or not. So so now I have deleted everything and try to deploy again and try and let's see if our prod namespace has that labels. Prod it has that labels. Let's check the deployment. Do we have any deployment in prod? We have one deployment and let's check the labels of the deployment. It should not be there. It is there. Okay. Let me try to delete again everything and try to deploy and try to see that labels are there or not. It should not be there, but when I restart the pod, it should come up. So I'll try to delete everything. Let's try to delete everything which I have. Once this is done, let's try to let's try to apply RBAC first, and then deployment file, and then configuration file. Once this is created, let's check if a pod is running or not. Oh, okay. We are supposed to delete the pod from namespace prod. Okay, we delete pod and then try to create again. First of all, let me delete again all everything because the namespace that labels will come automatically because it's a deployment, right? So let me delete the pod now. It should not come now. If I delete it, it should not come. Pod. Because there is no mutating webhook right now, so it should not come anything. If I delete it, it should not come now. Let's check the pod labels. It will not come because there is no mutating webhook and there is nothing mutating happening in the namespace level, right? So there is no what we call there is no labels on the pod as of now. But if we check the namespace, labels are there. Labels are there, right? So these two labels are there, but these labels are not there on the pod. But if we deploy mutating webhook now and try to restart this Nginx pod, the labels will come. Let's see now. Let's first apply the RBAC. After that, let's apply the deployment file. After that, let's apply configuration file. Once this is created, let's get the pod labels again. Nothing is there, but let me delete the pod and it will come up. Hit the pod this name with this pod and with the namespace prod. Now the label should show up when the pod restarts. It showed up, right? Now the labels came from the namespace because our mutating webhook is working properly. So let's see for it to run. It is running state. Okay, now how do we control the scheduling of pod on the basis of labels? Let's try to do that now. For that, let's create a namespace called as testing namespace because the testing pod dot that YAML is there. It is for testing namespace only. Let's create a label. Let's create a namespace called as testing. First of all, testing label is created. After that label, we need to add label to testing namespace. Do we have any labels in the namespace testing? Let's check. We don't have any labels as of now, like, but we have only one label called as name testing. But we need to have some other labels also. Let's add some other labels also to the namespace. This is the command to add the labels. If I check, these are the labels which got added right now, like env testing and name testing. Everything it got added. Like before it was not there, but now it is there. These two labels got added, right? And if I check the deployment file, testing deployment file, it doesn't have any labels as of such. Like it doesn't have any labels. So let's see now. Let's apply that. It will be in pending state. Pod will be in pending state. So pod went into running state. It should be in pending state. Let me check why it is in running state. It should be in pending state. Let's see, like that node was already labeled. That's why it got scheduled. And I removed the label from the node by using this command. So once I use this command, that node will be unlabeled. So I remove the label using this command and then try to apply again. Now it will be in pending state. Get pods. Because it doesn't have this thing, right? So it doesn't have selector. Like okay, let me show you what it misses. If we see now on the pod, these are the labels. Like labels, we don't have these labels, right? Labels on the pod, and we don't have this label also on the pod. Like if I see the manifest, if I check the manifest test pod, we don't have that label, right? But it got added. But we have that teams testing, right? So this label is not there on the node, any node. Like let's check, like if there is a node which has this label. We have only one node, and then we are not seeing that label on that node, on any node. Okay, so let's try to add this label and try to see if pod is getting scheduled or not. If I use this command to add this label to the main node, pod will get scheduled. Pod will get scheduled. Let's see if pod got scheduled or not. It's scheduled, right? So we are also manipulating or managing the scheduling of pod on the basis of label also. Like label I have added on the node, now the pod got scheduled. But if I have one node where I use it, I will not use it for one node. But if I have multiple thousands of nodes, then I'll probably use this strategy to schedule the pod on the basis of the labels on the pod. So what did we achieve? Like first of all, labels. We didn't have any labels on the pod, and labels came from namespace, and that's how. And we added label on the node, and that's how the pod got scheduled, right? So in this video, what did we try to learn? We tried to create a mutating webhook wherein it creates a mutating webhook and try to intercept the pod manifest file and calls API to copy the namespace label to the pod manifest file, pod deployment file or manifest file, whatever you call. So that's all we covered in this video, right? So first of all, we tried to create a webhook, and then tried to add label called as label. Let me check. NS label sync is equal to and enabled. When we add that label, then only the labeling will happen from namespace to deployment. So we've added that label and try to label the namespace and try to create a pod, and then try to see if labels got added on the pod or not. And then we try to we try to deploy an application wherein the pod went into pending state, and then we try to add label to the node, and then the pod got scheduled. So that's how scheduling happens. We have seen all those things in this video. That's all. Thank you for watching the video. And if you feel interesting, if you feel this video is interesting, try to subscribe to the channel and for many more videos. Thank you. If we check the logs of the webhook pod, this is the logs of, like, it is mutating, right? It is making a call to API server. It does that. So these are the logs which are shown by webhook pod. So it happens like whenever I change anything on the let me show you. Let me show you and create. Let me create and show you. Let me create a deployment and try to see if that is working. That log is getting updated. Deployment already exists. Same. Describe pod. Display. Should make a call. Like it made a call, right? Like before it was 3, now it is 4. Like it made a call to this pod using like it was copying the label from namespace to pod, right? So it might have copied it. That's why it made a call. Pods. So it just now made 20 seconds back. It made a call to API server using that webhook, right? So the that's why the log got updated. Like this thing got generated. So that's all I wanted to show you in this video.